What's going on, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome to another episode of Outside the Trenches. I'm BJ Kissel, joined as always by 6-year NFL veteran, Super Bowl champ, and former K-State All-American Nick Leckey, and our fearless podcast producer, leader, Tucker Franklin. We're going to break down a little Kansas City Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday at noon. There are some implications in this one. The Chiefs 11-4, winners of 8 straight, and the Bengals come in having won 2 of their last 3, and they are right in the thick of it as well. Obviously, we know that the Chiefs are still searching for the #1 seed, and we'll break down the implications of what this weekend can be and do for that. But we've got to start by thanking our friends at Jack Stack Barbecue for their support. Jack Stack's new happy hour menu that rolled out just recently is now available in all 6 locations. That includes deals on drinks like $2 off wine by the glass and handcrafted cocktails, and barbecue bites like $5 baby back ribs every Monday through Friday from 3 to 6 in the bar and patio area there of Jack Stack Barbecue. Nick, let's start with you, man. What was your victory of the week? Let's start the podcast with these real quick just to bring everybody in. What was your victory of the week?
We made it to Dallas successfully on a road trip. So got to see my mom and stepdad, and then just been hanging out with my sister here. And just that's it, man. That's my victory of the week.
Was that a dig at my current situation with you successfully making it down to Dallas?
I think it's more of a sneak diss because I didn't even know I did it.
Yeah, we'll get to that story here in a second. But Tucker, what's your victory of the week?
I'm just glad I got to spend some time with some family. Christmas was fun. I love Christmas. Got a lot of new stuff. And I was telling you before we started, I've got so much more stuff on my desk now. I need a bigger desk. I probably just need less stuff. But it's always a good time this time of the year and I'm in that stretch of days right now where I don't know what day it is because it's in between Christmas and New Year's. So it's just like, it's a free for all at that point.
The greatest work week ever.
Yeah, you have no idea what day of the week. Nothing makes sense this week. And breaking news, Tucker loves Christmas. So everybody out there, we all know it now. And Nick, so I'll share my victory of the week, which I was going to say something else, and now I'm just going to talk about, making lemonades down here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. As my family, we were going down to visit some friends for New Year's for the next several days, and we've got news that someone tested positive. Everybody's okay with our friends, but someone did test positive. So we were about halfway down to drive from Kansas City to Dallas and had to pull off, and we were just near Tulsa. So we pulled off in Tulsa. We hopped in a hotel with an indoor pool, and we're making lemonades with the kids. So hence anybody watching on YouTube wonders what the hotel brown curtain behind me is. It's a hotel brown curtain. So we appreciate everybody for tuning in. We'll talk a little Chiefs and Bengals in this one, but I saw this note, guys, from Chiefs Communications, and they always put out the weekly press release, and I thought this one was particularly interesting. It said Sunday's game against the Bengals will mark the 400th career game, regular and postseason combined, for Andy Reid as a head coach in the NFL. Only 4 other coaches in league history have reached that milestone. It's Don Shula at 526, George Halas at 506, Bill Belichick at 474, and Tom Landry at 454. So nice little nugget there to get into the show, and appreciate everybody for watching, whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or everyone who's listening after the fact on Apple or Spotify podcasts. We appreciate your support, just like we already talked about Jack Stack, and we appreciate their support. But guys, Andy Reid just keeps stacking those kinds of nuggets and little stats on top of each other. And I never get tired of those things because I don't want to normalize greatness or normalize this stretch of time that we're in, that we talk about the golden age of Chiefs football. But Andy Reid, Nick, right there at the front of it.
And I think that's a great stat because longevity in the league is hard to come by. I mean, it doesn't stand for not for long for no reason at all. I mean, it's not for long because you don't win, you out. And if you don't win, you ain't going to get picked up again. So, I mean, he's a proven winner, and that's what he does. And I love the ecosystems that Andy Reid builds. And when we look at his coaching tree, it's pretty awesome. And then it's, one of those things where, man, he treats the players right. And, he understands his team. He's consistent with his messaging. He's consistent with what he does. And people want to play for him. People want to win. And that's what you do. He's created cultures that win, and you have a great time, and it's fun. There's no fear. It's all love and granola. And, he'll punch you in the or smack you on the backside if you need it, or give you a hug.
Yeah. I think that's probably the biggest misconception. Everybody talks about players, coaches, and they think that that just means that the coach is nice to the players and let them do whatever they want. In a lot of ways, it's the complete opposite. They actually, I talked to so many guys, we talked about this on the show, that coaches, players, one of the things they absolutely love, and Nick, maybe you had some experiences that were different. I don't know. I only knew Andy Reid's system, but how consistent he was. When he said that they had a day off, they got a day off. When he said they weren't going to practice, he didn't change it. He didn't get mad and say, all of a sudden, now we're meeting or now we're doing this. And on the reverse side, like when he said you had a day off, you had a day off. And when he said you were going to practice, you practice. There wasn't a lot of like changing at the last minute where all of a sudden he's like bonus day off for the veterans. Like they kind of knew going in because then they can plan around it. Then they can say, okay, if I knew I was going to get the day off and you already thought that, if you would have told me, I could have gone and visited my family, I could have done these things, that thing. So it was just very consistent, very organized. You always knew what you were going to get. But Tucker, I know I'm changing a little bit, but one of the pieces of news, and Nick, I want to get your thoughts on this too. One of the pieces of news that came out this week that I knew as soon as I heard it was going to affect the entire football world of the passing of John Madden and the news that came out. And it particularly struck me because, and granted, this was years ago when I was working at the Chiefs. I did that long form on all the assistant coaches, and I did one with Andy Reid. I think it was 12,000 words. And to do that, I got to sit with Coach Reid for like 2 hours one day, which anyone in media – you get like 5 minutes off to the side. Like that's a huge deal with a coach. I like 2 hours. And this is like 2015. This is a long time ago. But I remember specifically talking for a good chunk of that time, not a good chunk, but several minutes about John Madden and Andy Reid and their relationship specifically. And coach telling me that he still spoke with John Madden. And I could have sworn, I don't want to put this, I started to tweet it and I didn't want to be wrong about it, but I thought it was like Mondays, like Monday mornings. It was always the same time that they spoke. Like it was consistent. Like they had a date, like Mondays at 10 a.m. Like he was talking with Coach Madden every week. It was just, they had that relationship. And I think everybody at some level has had a relationship with Madden, whether you've ever talked to him or not. Tucker, somebody that, you know, grew up playing Madden as a kid just a few years ago, just what stood out and what was Madden's impact on you? Sorry to make light of the joke, but
no, I think that's kind of where we're at now, where a lot of the people now know Madden for his legacy of the video game, which is not necessarily a bad thing. He was a great broadcaster, great coach, and I obviously knew the history. And because I was a kid, I was like, why is this called Madden? Like, why isn't it just called like NFL? Like, why is it called Madden? And so, like, obviously I did the research and I looked into it. And I think the first Madden I played was 04 with Michael Vick on the cover. That was a great game. And that's kind of the memories that I have is I heard this quote. I can't remember from where it came from, but John Madden loved football so much that he made other people love football. And I think that's kind of his lasting impact on this next generation of kids is you're going to have Madden. I think EA signed him for a lifetime deal. So that's always going to be Madden NFL. So you're going to have that impact through generations of these new video games that are coming out. Hopefully they get to make the game a bit better, so it can have a bit of an impression on these kids and really get them to love football. Like, you know, those games are a gateway to liking football. Like Madden 04, like I mentioned, I started playing that game. I was like, oh, they play this in real life too? Like there's a real life version of this? I'm going to watch that. So it's kind of one of those things. And just knowing his legacy as a coach and as a broadcaster, I watched some of these clips they've been putting out on Twitter about him, and I can't remember who his broadcast partner was, but Pat Summerall. Murder She Wrote. Yes, Pat Summerall would go murder and see how long he could pause and say she wrote. And one time there was a movie, it was Gone with the Wind, and he went gone with the wind. And John Madden was just absolutely losing it on the broadcast, had to take his headset off, and he was just laughing. So it's those moments like that to look back and see just he just had so much fun doing what he was doing, and it made other people really like football and just what he was doing.
It's the impact stretches so far and wide, because when I think of Madden's voice, like it's one of those voices that just I associate with football, but I also associate with the movie The Replacements, because like he's in that and he's describing, I know Nick, but like he describes that. So when I think of that movie, like I think of his voice describing it. And I saw the tweet on social media, and I don't know who to attribute it to, although they probably weren't the one that asked him the question like there firsthand. But one of his famous quotes talking about the Chiefs when John Madden was coaching the Raiders, I know Vahe wrote a great article on the Kansas City Star, so you should go read that, talking about Reid and John Madden's relationship and John Madden helping Andy Reid get to Kansas City after, you know, he was done in Philadelphia. There's a cool little story in there, but I saw the quote on Twitter. It was John Madden talking about playing the Chiefs when he was with the Raiders years ago, and he just said, you know, we had no chance of beating the Chiefs, but we damn near killed that horse. Because Warpaint had to run the field every time they scored a touchdown. He scored like 7 touchdowns. So post-game presser, he's not talking about, you know, his team. He's talking about the horse running around the field. It's very John McKay-esque for any old school fans listening out there to some of the one-liners we used to get from John McKay. But anyway, Nick, what kind of relationship did you have with Madden? What was your initial, you know, reaction when you saw the news?
Well, I'd like to point out that my rookie year was the same year Tucker first started playing Madden. 2004.
You're in it. You was playing with you one of these times.
Wow. Funny.
Big time. I forgot about that.
So I thought that was funny. No, I remember Madden just because I'm sort of like Tucker, where I remember playing Madden football in 93 on like Super Nintendo, and I was like 11 years old, and I was like, oh, this is a fun game. And then it got to the point where like they had, like back in the day on like Sega, I remember you were able to create players, and it was really cool. This was like mid 90s, like 94, 95. And you could create a player, and you could like do the combine. And my buddy and I, like you could buy these remotes for like Super Nintendo, and it had like a turbo setting and a semi-turbo setting on the buttons. And so instead of like furiously tapping the buttons, you could just like gently tap them, and it would make like a guy who's like 6'7", 380 run a 4.2 40. And so you'd have this unstoppable running back, and it was amazing. It was just so.
I would do that with an entire roster, Nick. Like
God,
I would make everybody like 7 feet tall, like 300 pounds. Like it wasn't fun. Like it was fun. Like it's one of those like kind of like people describe Teslas. Like I'm sorry, Tesla people. I know they're fun. They go really fast, but you go really fast for like a half a second and then you have to stop. So like they say, like it's really cool, but then you have to stop. Same kind of thing with you spent all the time building up those rosters, and then once you play, like this really isn't that fun.
So it was advanced, right? It brought it. I mean, there was, one other game, NFL 95 was fun as hell. And I like Blitz, those are fun games. But to me, I remember watching football as a kid, and he, to me, I always thought in real life he was 8'4", just because I think that's how big his personality was. And if you want to talk about someone who drove the energy bus, I mean, just sometimes he'd go off the reser, and like he'd be just on these monologue tangents that just were funny. And I think his legacy will be the six-legged turkey that I thought was a real thing for until last year, maybe.
The turducken, right?
No, it was a six-legged turkey to hand out to like the Iron Man, or on Thanksgiving Day, he would hand out the turkey. Like he started that, if I remember correctly.
Oh, yeah.
And so you do like 6 turkeys, and you give them out to like the various Cowboys offensive linemen or something like that. It was cool.
Yeah. There's a lot of people in that generation of remembering him as a broadcaster, that's the name and that's the voice that you associate. Similar to a lot of people, Kevin Harlan growing up as a Chiefs fan, and then now Mitch Holthus is going to be that for a huge generation of Chiefs fans. So knew as soon as we saw the news from Andy Reid that John Madden and Tucker, I love your point that he loved football so much that he made other people love football, and as Andy Reid's probably describing their relationship, I don't know how to describe it either, but they're wired the same way in what football means to them as people. And that both those guys would probably be doing football for their jobs, whether they made tons of money doing it or not, just that the game means something to them. And so, all right, guys, let's get into the front of the queue and talk a little bit about this game on Sunday against the Cincinnati Bengals. And let's start with just the Chiefs defense going up against Joe Burrow, the guy that Tucker's not worried about compared to Ben Roethlisberger. So far this season, Joe Burrow completing nearly 70% of his passes, 4,100 yards, 30 touchdowns to 14 interceptions, a top young quarterback because he's got some big-time weapons. There have been some inflammatory comments being made by the usual suspects out there in national media about the Bengals wide receiver crew, and are they the top skill position group in the NFL? But can't deny the fact the last 3 games, Joe Burrow, 7 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and averaging over 10 yards per attempt. Tucker, since you were the one who was a little bit more down on him, and I'm saying all this in jest, but you were the one who was a little bit down on him last week. Let's start with you. Chiefs defense going up against Joe Burrow in a game that means a lot for both teams.
I think Matt Lane on the KC Lab described this Bengals offense kind of perfectly. It's a very college-esque offense of, we've got these dudes, you've got to stop them. They try to get their guys, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon on one-on-ones and try to get make the other defenses stop them. And it's good because they got a really smart quarterback in Joe Burrow. He's starting to look like LSU Joe Burrow with all those weapons. You think back to that LSU team, they had some dudes on that offense. They had Jamar Chase. They had, I think Justin Jefferson was also on that team. Clyde was on that team. All kinds of weapons surrounding Justin Burrow. Yeah, he was at tight end. So I mean, that's an all-time college offense, by the way, like probably number one all-time, I'd say, just in terms of just like sheer NFL talent coming off of it. But that's probably for another podcast. But I think that's kind of what this offense is the Chiefs have to get those one-on-one matchups. Are they going to win those one-on-one matchups 100% of the time? Probably not, because like we said, Jamar Chase, stud. T. Higgins, stud. They both had like almost 200 yards, I think, last week, and Joe Burrow threw for 525 and 5 touchdowns. So just absolutely insane. But I think the one kind of saving grace here is that Bengals offensive line is not good. It is very bad, and that's kind of the whole conversation when it was coming up with should they draft Jamar Chase or Penei Sewell. You can throw a touchdown to anybody if you're being blocked, but it's kind of hard to throw touchdowns to Jamar Chase if you don't have anybody blocking. But they've shown that they can kind of do that all right. But I'm excited to see what Chris Jones does this week, kind of especially with that interior offensive line. It's not good. Chris Jones could be a big Chris Jones feast game. Look out for Tershawn Horton. He's a speed rush guy, so I'm sure that he'll be getting after some guys as well.
Nick, what stands out to you about the matchup for the Chiefs defense and Joe Burrow and this Bengals team?
I will go to my grave and say that the Miami 2001 offense was the greatest college football team ever assembled. They had and behind a quarterback who was Ken Dorsey. Ken Dorsey was the quarterback. Yeah. If that tells you anything about that offense, right?
I'm gonna go with the 2003 Kansas State Wildcats.
Oh, they were pretty good too. No, man. I think that the Bengals are making a good run now. I think Jamar Chase was that missing link, to give Joe Burrow that sort of collegiate feel and have a instant connection, instant relationship, some familiarity. And doing the whole hardball with Lamb, and go to Louisville, study the offense, what worked for you, kind of tailor the offense towards Joe Burrow. Baltimore last week, it's not the same Baltimore, they're kind of beat up.
Oh no,
they don't have that. They're not playing with that panache of a healthy Lamb. And listen, Cincinnati's getting good right now when it counts. They're gelling, but who the hell have they played? They haven't played anybody worth anything. So this will be a big test for Cincinnati, because this will be the first time that offense line is going to get severely tested. Kansas City just ran through Pittsburgh's offensive line, and then couple that with Kansas City's offensive line playing this defensive line. Come on. Kansas City's figuring things out. And I loved how Noah Gray got some high quality reps. Mr. Gore got some high quality reps with the ones. So they're building a top to bottom roster when it counts with those high quality reps.
Yeah. And to put a bow on the Bengals and the Chiefs defense going up against them, we talk about those two weapons. Jamar Chase already has over 1,100 yards, more than 1,100 yards receiving. T. Higgins just went over 1,000 yards last week with his huge performance. And then Tyler Boyd has 792 yards himself. So with a couple of big games, they can have 3,000-yard receivers. And their tight end, CJ Uzama, or however you pronounce his last name, is another guy that has made plays for them down the stretch. Another guy, Ryan Clark, pointed out as to why they have the top skill position players in the league on their team, according to Ryan Clark. Had to say that about the Cincinnati Bengals having the most talent on offensive skill positions. Again, Ryan Clark said that about the Cincinnati Bengals.
Sometimes
brought up Uzoma, great player, not dunking on anybody, but we'll find out. on Sunday when they play that game. Let's move on to the second topic here in front of the queue. And that's the good news. Everybody coming off the COVID list for the Chiefs, at least everybody who was on it before. Who knows if somebody else may go on it very, very soon by the time this podcast actually posts. But good news in that Chiefs get back Nick Bolton. They get back, obviously, Travis Kelce, and get those guys back on the field. But again, as we made the point throughout the rest of our content on KC Sports Network this week, it was great to give Kelce a week off. It's great to see the offense go out there and make plays without them. But you get those guys back. They got another little mini bye, and now they go win. You get some work done with the Miami Dolphins beating the Tennessee Titans, and all of a sudden you get another bye here late in the season that you couldn't ask for more if you're a Chiefs fan, the way that the last 3 weeks has played out.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that that's kind of what everyone's hoping for. It's bad news for the Bengals, right? Travis Kelce's coming back. They're kind of getting that groove back for the offense. And it was good to see those secondary weapons. I believe Kent Swanson said this on the lab on Monday after the game. This had to be a big confidence booster for the Byron Pringles, for all these secondary weapons, McCole Hardman and Derek Gore. And you know, I think that the Chiefs, when we looked at all these plays with Matt Castle, they didn't necessarily scheme guys open. Guys were getting open, and I think that's a very encouraging thing to see. Now the Steelers defense isn't, you know, a world-beating defense. Minkah Fitzpatrick's an absolute stud, but I think after that you're just kind of looking around. They had Devin Bush on the COVID list. You're like, all right, who else is the guy here in this secondary? There wasn't a whole lot there, but I do think that there are some positive things to take from there, just like being able to get open, being able to find space. Patrick Mahomes is making all the right decisions, and I think that's really encouraging to see, because he seemed a little flustered at the beginning of the year, just trying to find his footing, trying to figure out what he was trying to do. He was really trying to fix that drifting back in the pocket, because it was really messing with his tackles. He's really fixed that. He's been able to step up in the pocket, has a real pocket presence about him now. And he can still run the ball. Some defenses forget about that he's still a moderate rushing threat. I don't have the numbers up in front of me, but he was the Chiefs' leading rusher a few games. So I think that he does have the capability to take off and run. And that's kind of what I'm excited for with all these guys coming off the list, and just all the opportunities to get back. The defense will be healthy. And the NFL just recently changed their protocols too, with the CDC changing their protocols to 5 days. Now, if you test positive on Monday, you can get back to play on Sunday. And there's a bunch of ticky-tack stipulations. You don't have to be asymptomatic anymore. You just have to be either, I think they put it in quotes, resolved or improved in your symptoms, which is a lot of room for interpretation on there. They just want to get guys back on the field is what I think is going to happen. But I believe yesterday, which was Wednesday at the time we're recording this, they activated over 100 players to active rosters from COVID lists. So good sign for the NFL getting these players back and getting these guys on the field. We'll see how these new protocols work out, and hopefully, knock on wood, Chiefs have kind of weathered that COVID storm. It seems like every team's going to have to weather it, and I think they got dealt the hand at the right time. I'd much rather do it now in the regular season than in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever be free of COVID, but I do like the new playoff TV rules that have been enacted to follow the CDC. That's for damn sure. Really good.
Let's move on to the third topic here in the front of the queue. And guys, this one, let me get your thoughts, because it's hardware. You talk about like hardware season. The Chiefs obviously going for the Super Bowl. Some teams are going for hardware. Let's talk 3 chances the Chiefs have at picking up some hardware individually. So I want to talk about these 3. You're going to tell me which one you think is most likely to happen. Patrick Mahomes is the MVP. Here's a little Patrick Mahomes nugget. Thanks again to Chiefs PR. Including the playoffs, Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes is aiming to win his 27th consecutive game as a starter in the months of November, December, and January on Sunday. Overall, Mahomes has a career record of 33-5 regular and postseason in these months. Again, he's looking to win his 27th straight game in the months of November, December, and January. So Patrick Mahomes as MVP or Andy Reid as coach of the year. Andy Reid stat. We talked about the 400 games. The Chiefs aim to improve to a record of 12-4 on Sunday, marking the 4th consecutive season that the Chiefs would have at least 12 regular season wins, 4 straight So if they win on Sunday, 4 straight 12-win seasons would be tied for the 3rd longest streak in NFL history with 12 or more wins. So Patrick Mahomes is MVP, Andy Reid as Coach of the Year, or Creed Humphrey as Offensive Rookie of the Year. In his case, watch the video that 610 made. Creed is good. So which one, Nick, do you think is most likely between Patrick Mahomes as MVP, Andy Reid as Coach of the Year, or Creed Humphrey as Offensive Rookie of the Year?
I think Andy Reid is Coach of the Year. I think what happens is I don't say this lightly, but LeBron not winning MVP, Mahomes not winning MVP, because what people in the media do is, you know, forever Mahomes will be the no look, the shot put with the left hand, no look sidearm passes, and he hasn't made those sort of TV worthy, I'm using air quotes here, TV worthy plays of like, oh my God, what did he just do? That was freaky. You know, he's been winning with consistency, you know, with the strong line and everyone kind of figuring it out. So Mahomes won't win the MVP because they don't want that to happen again, because they're trying to build parity, trying to pub someone else up, you know, everything like that. They look for these gaudy stats. They'll start saying, oh, but look at October, November stats, you know, they're this compared to this, or they're like I saw Justin Herbert stat when they played someone before the Chiefs, and it was like, here's the winning record for quarterbacks in their first 2 years, and it left out Mahomes because his first year he didn't start. So I'm like, man, they're skewing these stats to like say anti-Mahomes, you know, everything, because they don't want to talk about Mahomes. It's not fun anymore because he's such on a different level. So to me, hands down, without a doubt, Andy Reid, Coach of the Year, because where they were at the beginning of the season, you know, how they had injuries and, you know, the hell of a gauntlet, and where they're at now. Like, I mean, nobody would have thought that. We thought that. I thought that. I'm like, hey, just chill. It's judge a season by its entirety. So Andy Reid, hands down, is going to win Coach of the Year this year. Hands down. Like, it's
Tucker, what do you think is most likely between those three?
Yeah, it's really interesting, Nick. I think voters have fatigue on both Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head how many Coach of the Year awards that Andy Reid has, but it's not enough. I'll tell you that right now. Both of those awards are storyline awards. So really, whoever has the best storyline is going to win it. I don't think Bill Belichick probably has enough of those Coach of the Year awards that he deserves, and it's just a lot of just like I said, storylines. And the Chiefs do have a good storyline if you think about it. You know, starting the season 3-4 and coming back and being the number 1 seed in the AFC, that's pretty dang good. I think that, but out of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, I just think Andy Reid's going to get the Coach of the Year out of those two. And you start to look at Mahomes. There's been guys like the Jonathan Taylor storyline, I think, is starting to gain a little bit of steam and stuff like that. So that's just something I'm going to watch for here in these last couple weeks, is what storylines kind of pick up and take off.
Guys, I'm going to push back a little bit. Not that I don't think that Coach Reid would deserve it. What I think about, and I'm going to be very careful about how I say this, I don't think that he's not deserving of winning, obviously, the Coach of the Year award. I just worry how much when people are talking about the Chiefs and what they overcame and all of that. And when you talk about Andy Reid and how good of a performance and how much he's overcome, a lot of it was the off the field stuff coming in from last year. That makes it an uncomfortable conversation to talk about. And it wasn't him. Like, obviously, it was his son. Obviously, huge impact for him. Not saying that. So I said, I'll be very careful about how I word things. I just wonder if bringing that part of what he overcame makes it so uncomfortable that you could go to like a Matt LaFleur or a Mike Vrabel, guys who have had major injuries, guys who have overcame more than just a slow start because the Chiefs were turning the ball over so much. And then the other stuff, in addition to just the turnovers that led to a lot of those losses, a lot of what was overcome is off the field. It's not anything anyone really wants to talk about. So if you talk about him in that way, you got to bring up that stuff, and people don't want to do that. So I just think that's the behavior that people are going to be thinking through if it's not like a slam dunk. So to that point, I would bring up Patrick Mahomes. I don't think Creed's going to get it because he's an offensive lineman and they're never going to win an award, let alone an offensive rookie of the year award like this. They're going to look at box scores. It's the thing with Mahomes, you look at the box score. He's not top 5, or he's not top 4 or top 3 in passing yards or touchdowns. And that's where a lot of these votes are going to come from. So it's going to take somebody else taking a step back over the last couple of weeks and just how things finish. If the Chiefs finished with the 1 seed, Patrick Mahomes top 3 in all these things. And there's a couple of moments against the Bengals or the final week against Denver. Hopefully he's not even playing, in those games, but hopefully there's just this state of trying to figure out reasons why it shouldn't be Patrick Mahomes. And then people are just like, you know what, let's just make it Mahomes. So that's why I think there's a better chance that it could be Mahomes than Reed for the people that are sitting down behaviorally to make that decision in the conversation they have to explain why. I think with Mahomes, it'd be a little bit easier. And Creed, poor guy, but he is good. So
it is. No,
he is very good.
Well, if you don't make the Pro Bowl, you don't get the offensive rookie either, BJ. Everybody knows that. Pro Bowl dictates everything. LOL, by the way, for listening. I'm being sarcastic. Also to your point too, I don't think it's enough credit to Mahomes making a midseason change in technique. I mean, his pocket presence was terrible, and it's getting better. It's getting a lot better. He's finally trusting a brand new offensive line. I mean, that's a lot to cope with, for coaching for players.
One more stat again, thanks to Chiefs PR. These guys, Brad G and crew, just absolutely killing it. The Chiefs are looking to become the 4th team in NFL history to make 3 consecutive Super Bowl appearances, joining the Miami Dolphins from 71 to 73, the Buffalo Bills from 1990 to 1993. Tucker, you look up how tough it would be to be a Bills fan in the early 90s. And then the New England Patriots from 2016 to 2018. Again, I want to give a quick shout out to Andy from PT Solutions for taking care of my mom, Andy. And I just want to let you know I did carry all of the boxes downstairs, so she didn't have to worry about that. So thank you. I appreciate your support and appreciate you for listening. Guys, whether we talk about Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, or Creed Humphrey winning that award, one thing is for certain, and that is they all show leadership. Just like we see from Fairway Independent Mortgages, they make the home loan process as simple as possible by guiding you through every step, just as they've done for the past 25 years. Call Jennifer Dixon at Fairway Independent Mortgage at 816-390-8898. That's 816-390-8898. Great rates, a focus on customer service, and the fastest turn times in the industry. That is Fairway Independent Mortgage. And guys, it's time for Tucker's favorite segment, and that is the Tucker's Crown Prime Beef of the Week. Thanks to our good friends at Jack Stack in the single best piece of meat in Kansas City, according to Nick Leckey. So Tucker, what's your beef of the week on social media this week?
Well, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's no Taste of Kansas City plate. There's not all those meats, which, by the way, very looking forward to getting the Taste of Kansas City going on New Year's Eve. Going to have a little bit of dinner with my girlfriend. We're going to share the Taste of Kansas City. That's my favorite thing to get there. Just can try a little bit of everything. Obviously, got to get the jalapeno cornbread as well as a little appetizer, and get the cheesy corn, the beans, all that stuff. That's my favorite. But I got a couple beefs this week. First one, Nick brought up to me at the beginning of the show, the Nike sneakers app. What the heck? If you know, you know. You can't win anything on there, even if it's a raffle. You wake up early, you put your information in. I've got mine preloaded, so I just have to hit the button at like 9 a.m. is usually when it is. Nothing. You can never get anything. I've been on the app for 2 years, haven't won a single pair of shoes. And that's just ridiculous. They got to figure out a way to change that to make their shoes more available to people. Listen, I'm willing to pay the $220. I said that. I'll pay the $220. I'm ready for it. Just make them available. Size 11, please. The other beef that I have is with college bowl games making mascots. Now, I just think that this is an interesting concept for just a singular event. This has brought the Cheez-It Bowl, Prince Cheddarworth. I don't know if you've seen Prince Cheddarworth. I think I tweeted out a picture and said "Bow to your king" on there because it's just an obscure mascot. You know, the Chiefs have always had those commercials with like the cheddar wheels, right? And the talking cheddar wheels. Brilliant. But they just, it's very good commercials. They've really just personified what you would think a king made out of cheese would be. And it's just a cheddar wheel with a mustache. And I don't remember who I saw. I think it was Ben Heisler said something. It was like they took the Burger King mascot and like the Pringles mascot and mashed them together. And I think that is kind of a good. And he's just out here doing the wildest stuff, like feeding Dabo Sweeney Cheez-Its after he wins. He's just. That's one of the things.
Into it. Just lean into the
look it up if you're listening to this. If you don't know what we're talking about, look up Prince Cheddar Wheel and Dabo.
Listen, this is marketing nowadays. Like we're sitting here talking about it. Cheez-Its getting all their sales are probably going up because of the ridiculousness that is.
I love Cheez-Its.
Prince Cheddarworth. But if you tell me that there's a Kool-Aid bowl and there's a big guy dressed up like the Kool-Aid man who just runs into everybody and screams, "Oh yeah," in their face, like
I want to be that mascot.
Yeah, I would be into that.
I need a steel-plated front so I can run.
In 20 years, KC Sports Network will sponsor that bowl. Like
we've gotten to the point where they're now dumping whatever the bowl is on the coach. Like they dumped a bucket of Cheez-Its. Duke's Mayo Bowl fully leaned into it and was like, we're going to have a tub of mayo for you to dump on the coach. They dumped fries on the potato bowl. There's another one that they dump stuff on. But I think that's phenomenal. I don't have a beef with that. I just have a beef with mascots being wild. And
why though?
Tucker hates mascots. Tucker, you dunk on mascots all the time. We won't talk about the other one. Yeah. We won't talk about the other one that you're upset about.
Yeah, we won't talk about that. I just think the mascots are just like out of pocket. Just a lot of stuff. Like, okay, so I'm an Orlando Magic fan, right? I like that basketball team for some reason. I guess they do. It's called, his name is Stuff. And he's just like this green monster, and he posted on Instagram, he said whatever's possible is like Giannis shooting a free throw, he's under the bucket lifting his shirt up.
So that's awesome.
That's awesome.
So I did think that was funny. But Gritty is one of those mascots that's always doing out of pocket stuff. The mascot for the Philadelphia Flyers, he looks insane. So it's just like his eyes are always like super wide, and he's always looks like he's about to kill somebody.
Wobbly, yeah. Well, it's an appropriate Philly mascot when you're just filled with whippets in the parking lot, right? Like, geez, like yeah, that's wildly appropriate for Philly fans.
He's handing out the batteries for everyone to throw.
Yeah, right. I can snowball around this battery, exactly.
Tucker, do you have any takes on the Nike shoes? Because I know you're a sneakerhead. I think that's what they're called. I it's going to shock everybody based on how we talk about everything that I have no idea what they're talking about with these shoes and logging in and trying to win them, but more power to you guys. Good luck.
Yeah. I mean, I know Nick and I kind of talked about that before, and it's a struggle. When was the last time you won something, Nick?
I think last year I won the Jordan 4 winterized. Which I love them. They're fantastic. They're 4s, but they're waterproof and they're snowproof and they're warm. So mine are getting a little scuffy because I wear them everywhere in the wintertime. And I went to go buy some on Goat, and they're like $800 now. And I'm like, what the hell? So it's like, yeah, like they get you after too. Yep. So it's like, it's just a markup. It's just
when I don't know anything about this. So people listening probably shaking their head again when I talk about this stuff. But when I saw the special about like the Nike executive or somebody's like kid that was like winning all of them, it just reminded me of how pissed I was as a kid. And this is another podcast. I still get irrationally angry for no reason thinking about the Monopoly game at McDonald's and how much money I wasted as a kid trying to win those damn things. Then I watched that documentary and I sat there for probably 80% of it shaking my head angry, because I remember how much time I spent begging my parents to go because I needed that one piece I didn't have yet, and I was going to get it. Come to find out, it was some family mafia group up in New Jersey just passing around their friends. I was angry. What? I think the same thing happening with shoes. That's what, Nick, the look on your face tells me you have no idea what I'm talking about. That Monopoly game?
No. The documentary. Bro, I played a Monopoly game. I got Boardwalk first pop, and I'm like, okay, it's a wrap. I'm probably just going to get Park Place tomorrow. You know? It fools you.
They made it does. They give you like a free fries. You're like, I won. Yeah. I spent $87 to win 30 cents worth of fries. Like, I'm winning right here. All right, let's get to the final segment, and that's Nick's favorite segment. And we know one thing that makes Nick happy, besides a good Crown Prime beef rib, is a good happy hour. And blind no, but we do know that Jack Stack's got that new happy hour we talked about earlier, 3 to 6. Every location, all 6 around Kansas City, every Monday through Friday. Find deals on drinks, food, all the good stuff for that happy hour. You're looking for a place to go. Jack Stack Barbecue, and there's 6 locations, including the new one at 87th and 435 is where you need to go. Nick, blind nil, what you got? For anyone listening, we're all bringing segments. We don't know what each other brought. We're going to discuss them for a few minutes to wrap this one up. Nick, why don't you start us off?
So I'm back home in Dallas, Texas. I'm from Grapevine. And, Whataburger's here. Whataburger's in Kansas City now. It's in Tulsa, where BJ is.
I drove right past it.
What is your favorite fast food burger? And be ready to defend yourself.
Whataburger.
Why?
I like the In-N-Out burgers are good. I'm going to jump into this. And Five Guys is a very, very good burger. But for this conversation, it's In-N-Out and Whataburger. In-N-Out's fries are inedible. They're awful. It ruins the experience. So, do I think that people glorify fast food restaurants that they don't have daily access to? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So, yes. Do I think that my love for Whataburger is exaggerated because I can't have it every day? Yes. Do I think it's going to drop when the one at 135th and Antioch opens because it's less than a mile from my house? Yeah. But guess what? I'm going to eat there every day for probably a month first before I do it. But I will say Whataburger is my favorite burger, knowing that when I fly through Dallas, I know exactly where to go to get that because that's the best Whataburger in the country.
Kind of on the other side of the coin as you, BJ, I like the accessibility. And the Five Guys, I think having the availability of going to Five Guys and getting just the sloppiest, messiest burger, and just you could just bury your face in. I sometimes will get in those moods, that like carnivore moods, where I'm like, man, I just want just a big greasy burger. And I think that Five Guys does that perfectly, and that really satisfies that little itch for me.
It does. Well, and they also, have you ever had the Cajun fries at Five Guys?
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness.
Bag of fries, BJ. That's right up your alley, buddy. They're fries, Cajun fries, in a brown bag. Shake them up, get all the flavor in them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this is going to be weird for a Texas guy. If we're talking a pure cheeseburger, not the whatevers, because when I go to Whataburger, I get breakfast taquitos. In fact, I just got some 2 nights ago. Wow. Late night, by the way, too. Nice. If you're looking at burger, it's In-N-Out or Five Guys to me, like on a pure burger. Because In-N-Out, they have the secret menu. And I think secret menus are really cool. You can get animal styled with raw onions. You can get,
the whole menu is secret menu. Correct. 3 things on their menu.
Yeah. Well, they have 4 with a milkshake. And it's really good. But then Five Guys might have the advantage because you can get fresh jalapenos and mushrooms. So that's like where like Five Guys sort of elevates it a bit. But then at In-N-Out, you can go lettuce wrap, like a 3x3 protein style, animal style with the fries. So I like the verbiage at In-N-Out, but I like the ingredients at Five Guys. So just like the NFL, I'm going to allow myself to get a draw.
And I think we're very much in like when we have like the barbecue discussion, everyone's like, well, if you go sit down, obviously it's Freight House. And then everyone's got like their barbecue. And obviously we're sponsored by Jack Stack. There's no bad barbecue. Everybody gets along. We love everybody, feeling different things at different times, different strokes for different folks. But we cannot have a burger conversation in Kansas City and out there out Andy Reid's favorite burger, because to your point, we're talking about different moments. If I'm downtown and it's late and I just want a greasy burger to feel better, I am going to Town Topic and I am not leaving disappointed. Like, that's Andy Reid's favorite burger. Like, Town Topic needs to be discussed when talking Kansas City. And as a kid, I have a soft spot for Winstead's. I know it's not the best burger in Kansas City, but it has a very distinct, like, skinny patty over the edge, like old school diner going there. I honestly went there with my grandma all the time as a kid. So shout out to Winstead's, and a shout out to Town Topic as to OGs in Kansas City that went to us a lot. And also, if you want to talk about theatrics, Fritz's with the choo-choo brings your thingy and it comes down to the table. That's it's a lot of Tucker's like, I went there for my birthday in 2017 and it was awesome. It's pretty sick. Yeah, and honestly, I've come to the point too where I don't like Burger King because it's absolute trash, but their mascot's amazing. And the Flame Grill, honestly, the best cheeseburger is cooked on a flat top. It just is. All right, Tucker, Blind Nil, what you got? So we have football on every day, whether if it's a college bowl game. We've had COVID move games to Tuesdays. And I think the week of Christmas, there was literally a football game on every single day from Sunday to Sunday. So my question is, I should probably do a better job than phrasing this question, but I don't care. Is this the best time of the year?
Thanksgiving.
Fair.
I like the Thanksgiving programming because bowl games are one-offs. Bowl games are week one games with some data from the season. And you just don't know who's in, who's out. And it's like, so you're seeing these half played teams, new coaches, whatever. Yeah. It's a sort of like transition. And then it's like to me, it's the Texas thing. When Texas beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl or something, when Georgia was fangless, had no teeth in their mouth to bite you, much like their beloved bulldog Uga, who I love with all my heart.
Amazing.
So that's why Thanksgiving is better to me, just because the football is much better because you're rolling through the season, end of the college football season. Pros are fighting for playoffs. Nothing's set in stone. No one's been fired yet. That's why.
I'm gonna go out on a limb because I don't like bowl season at all anymore. Because Nick, to your point, players are leaving, coaches aren't motivated. Like, it's bad football. Jeff Schwartz was talking about it with Oregon, and I didn't watch the end of the game. I'm in a hotel with my kids, but like, you can't criticize players and programs because of how they perform in a bowl game unless they're playing for a championship, because a third of the players are in the portal now. Like, it's not the same as it's ever been. So many I think I saw like over 1,000 players are in the transfer portal. Like, something stupid like it. Yeah, we talk about like entitlement. I don't want to put this on I might say like all 1,000 players are entitled, because there are some very real reasons that people should transfer and go to different schools. But 1,000, there are not 1,000 good reasons for people to live. People are just want to play. They want to go somewhere else. They thought NIL, they got on Twitter and they said hundreds of thousands of dollars a deal. So they thought they were going to get this, that, or the other. Like, that is going to be real. We are talking about this stuff so much and making it seem so easy that there's going to be expectations that these players are going to get certain things. They will be disappointed when they don't get them as an 18-year-old kid who honestly hasn't earned it yet. Like, hasn't earned that right yet. There are some that have these big platforms and all that. You're having that like have not conversation at 18 years old when no one has, but some of them have a platform to earn more money. And I'll go off on a tangent and all that stuff. But yeah, I think I hate bowl season. So I'm going to go and say, like, I love right at training camp. I love the beginning of the season because every NFL team is feeling good. Every team is happy. Every fan is drinking the Kool-Aid that their draft pick is going to be the guy that, gets them to wherever. So I actually like that time of the year going into training camp where everybody's feeling good about their team.
There you go. Yeah, I really enjoy bowl season just because of the one-off nature of it. You guys, you see a bunch of matchups you don't see in the regular season. I think that's kind of why I like it. Like the Georgia-Texas thing, like you mentioned, like, yeah, they didn't have their best players, but that's not a matchup you see. Well, you might see it coming soon, but it's just one of those things that you don't see. Missouri would play, I think, Oklahoma State. I know that was kind of a team that they played, but Arkansas, before they went to the SEC, they played Arkansas in a game, and that's when they had Darren McFadden, and that was one of the bowl games I really remember. I think it was a New Year's Day bowl, because I can remember cleaning my room because my mom would always make us clean house on New Year's Day, just start the year off, and I had that game on in my room. Watching, because I was so worried about Darren McFadden torching the Tigers defense, but it didn't happen, luckily. Weird tangent I just got off on, but I do like bowl season just because of that.
I love bowl season too. I went to the Fiesta Bowl a couple different times. Yeah. Like they're cool experiences. You get to go down. Nick was in that game. But bowl season nowadays with transfer portal, with players opting out and just all of it, like it just feels different. I think Chris Kleiman made the point. I think Tucker, I think you were the one who tweeted this. Somebody tweeted the point of bowl games after like the holidays, like players that aren't playing for championships are even less motivated. Nick, was that you? Somebody about like it's just less motivated after the holidays because you're having these guys practice through Christmas for the .com bowl. Like, why do you think that's going to be good football? And at some point, players are going to get hurt because you got to look like it. It's all just a giant mess. All right, last segment for this blind nil, guys. And we've talked a little bit about this, but KC Sports Network, the KC Lab guys, Tucker and myself are all going to be traveling to Las Vegas at the end of January for the East-West Shrine Bowl. We will be out there covering that event for the entire week. It was supposed to and is kind of like overlapping with the Pro Bowl. And so my discussion for you guys and kind of along with bowl games of what can we do if it starts to become less and less important to the players, and the players and the coaches are how these businesses make money. And now it's kind of turning on its head. So for the Pro Bowl, the game is the game. What can we do? And everybody's had their own thoughts on this, but what would you like to see from the Pro Bowl players if it's during, maybe not the entire week? So just come up with like one example of something they can do that's not playing a game that you would find entertaining, that doesn't put their health at risk or all the reasons that they don't want to go hard during a game. What's something that you could see during the Pro Bowl experience for the players who go out there that would be entertaining TV, entertaining content for you to watch? Tucker, I want to start with you.
Well, they did, I think it was last year, they did a Madden tournament, a players-only Madden tournament. I thought that was kind of fun, especially with the way that things are going with like esports now. People play Madden all the time. Like, that's not a strange thing. And I believe even COVID, they had a players-only Madden tournament. So I thought that was kind of a fun thing to do, just kind of like players playing with themselves, just kind of like a meta thing. But I enjoy that. I like the dodgeball. I think I saw a report that the dodgeball game's coming back, and I'm stoked about that. I love the old skills competition that they used to do, and those were the best. So I want to bring those back, but also they could like move it to Hawaii. I don't know. That seems kind of cool. Vegas is cool too. Like, that's the thing, is that like there's so many cool places where you could go in the United States. It's just like that's for another podcast. I almost got off on a different tangent, but yeah.
I want to jump in, Nick, before we go to you. I want to see like weird trick shots, because we saw like the Bahamas like home run derby where the minor league guys like hitting the balls out into the ocean. Like, I don't know what all the answers are, but like put a bunch of like, use one of the big Vegas pools or something and just put a bunch of like targets in a pool and see if the kickers can like kick it over something like into it and make it like, you know, give money away to charity, play beer pong. Like, I just want to see the guys doing fun, random, trick shot type things. Guys do it all the time. We see it at training camp at the Chiefs. Yeah. You go up to St. Joe, you do the crossbar challenge. Like, it's one of the things that the fans get into the most are those court QB challenge type videos. I want to see a bunch of linemen out there doing the crossbar challenge, like throwing footballs, and just do random, lean into weird stuff, have them do things that they do on their side, and just maybe make some sort of charity part of it. I'd watch that. It'd be fun. Nick, what do you think? What do you want to see?
I have a lot of fixes. I often thought about this topic so often. Ooh, one, perfect. Make it after the Super Bowl so players can enjoy it, a vacation, and move it to Hawaii. Like, I'm with you, Tucker. Or if you want to keep it content in the United States, some people don't want to fly that much. I like the idea of Vegas or Phoenix, two places middle of the map in the desert where it's going to be nice, or Florida, wherever you want to do it.
San Diego?
Yep, San Diego would be cool. And also, I like the idea of, for the game, not your normal position, and wearing just wearing like jersey and shorts and, you know, flags, because, you know, you're not going to hit anyways. And then that way players will love it because you get FaceTime, right? We're always hiding under a helmet, right? So now you have FaceTime. So you're just wearing a jersey and shorts, and you're not playing your normal positions, right? And that's what you have to do. And you're given a playbook, a Tecmo Bowl playbook. You can only do 4 plays. And you just pick it. You go to the quarterback. You go, hey, run 1A, the Bo Jackson one, right? Or it's like a off tackle or something.
And no, Nick, Twitter calls the play based on voting.
Shoot, it's even better. Like,
in between, isn't this what the Football League tried to do with the app and have like the fans vote on everything, and the latency? It was just they couldn't figure it out.
Exactly, but you can do it now with team up with Twitter or Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure. Show how cool the cloud is. You can handle this real-time data. So there's your corporate tie-in. Players are.
You hope it can handle it, or it's a big,
or everyone wants it. Yeah, denial of service. And then also, like, I just like the idea of, you know, having a different position and playing out of position, and play flag football. And I like the skills challenge. I always like the skills challenges. I like the eating contests, because there's some skinny kids. There's some running backs and linebackers who can make a run for that money on eating contests. And just maybe have Nickelodeon just take over the whole thing, let them figure out how to do a funhouse type thing, right? Like how to do wacky stuff. But
at this point, lean into the wacky stuff. Yeah,
you have to. And it goes with the skills challenge was cool, all that stuff. But and don't make it actual football, make it flag football, and have people mic'd up wearing GoPros.
Yeah, that's good. Like if you had the quarterbacks throwing at a target, and if they hit it, like it dunked Roger Goodell into like a dunk take. Like I would absolutely watch the hell out of it. It's the dumbest idea, but it's like I'd watch it. Like it'd put anybody up there.
And
like,
the benefit kids charity or something, you know.
Yeah.
St. Jude or something, or
all about that.
They should hire us.
They should.
All right. Before we wrap this up, Tucker, final thoughts before we put a bow on this show.
Can't wait for the Chiefs to clinch the #1 seed this week.
I'm excited to see what Cincinnati's truly about.
2 really good points, good options. Gonna be a good game on Sundays. The Chiefs again go for that #1 seed. They have to win, and we need the Miami Dolphins to beat the Tennessee Titans, and then the Chiefs will secure the #1 overall seed, which means a first-round bye and home field throughout the playoffs. We already know they're going to get at least one home game for the wild card round. If they can clinch that 1 seed, they get that one bye, as things have changed a couple years ago. Just one team getting that bye. Hopefully it's the Chiefs. We saw some of their guys already get, like Travis Kelce we mentioned earlier, get that mini bye, give them another one, and we get the bye. And if you do it a week early, you're giving even more buys. So it gives us even more things to discuss on whether giving these guys 3 weeks off is better than letting them play. And I'm going to say yes. Tease that show right now. Just keep them in a cryo chamber. Keep them away from everybody. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this episode of Outside the Trenches. We appreciate your support. Rate, review, subscribe. Let us know what you think, and we will catch you guys next week. As always, be good to each other. Have a happy and safe New Year's Eve. Don't drive. Call a friend. We'll see you guys later.